My lips are legendary and they'll never gloss over the bullshit that comes out of my mouth. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I'm here to review episode 18 of The Real Housewives Holding the Wrong Person Accountable of Beverly Hills. So we start this episode off with Kyle and she's packing all her suitcases getting ready for this girls trip that Kathy has planned, which I was actually surprised that she even decided to plan at all, because after everything that's happened at her dinner at her own house, I'm surprised that Kathy will even want to plan anything else in the future with these women. But regardless, she's on the phone with Crystal. Crystal, ironically, is inside a flip-flop. She's on the phone inside a flip-flop. I'm like, doesn't that fit her character really, really well? And they made sure to tell us that the little shoe sandal was like $800. And Kyle is like, oh yes, it's just crazy that Sutton and Erica, they're not talking to each other. And it's just, if we're all gonna be in a hotel room, it's just gonna be madness. Like, it's just gonna be crazy, Crystal. Can you imagine? I cannot wait. I cannot wait to continue producing these scenes for Andy. And guess what? Next season, I'm probably gonna have center stage. When we do the intro, I'm gonna be holding the diamond right in the middle. And then we head over to Kathy's house, and she's also packing for the trip, and I'm not sure how much money they must have paid her to pick up that phone call with Dorit, because as soon as I would have saw Dorit on my phone screen, I would have thrown my phone right out the window. Like, no, absolutely not. I'm not picking up that phone call. But regardless, unfortunately, under contract, she picks up the phone call with Dorit, and as usual, Dorit has nothing to say. She just goes on with saying, hello, hi, Kathy, I just want to talk about last night. It's just crazy to me how Garcelle, how she thinks that I talk too much, and it's just insane. If you're gonna be honest about it, at least tell me that I'm talking too much. Don't just wait for the wrong time to tell me that I'm talking too much. And then meanwhile, we just see we just see Kathy just getting ready. Kathy paid her no attention. Kathy was just like,
I'm
sure.
serious, baby. No, I'm so serious. I cannot believe Garcelle. Like, seriously, if you're gonna say I talk too much, I cannot believe you have the audacity. No, Kathy, I just don't feel like it. PK does not say that about me, so I don't understand what the problem is. I really don't. Just so disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like some type of way.
Anyway, Dory, I gotta go. Kathy was not having it. She was like, okay, I was on the phone with you for 30 seconds. That's enough for this film right here, for this scene. Let's call it wraps and let's end the filming right here. And then we head over to Kyle's house where all the women are reuniting to go on the trip. And Lisa's the first one, of course, to show up to the house. And she's like, yeah, I have this huge luggage here. You know, her luggage full of lies, bullshit, deception, all of that she's gonna use on the trip. She's like, yeah, I just brought it all with me. So I just decided to pack this giant suitcase. I know we're only gonna be there for a short period of time, but you never know in what type of conflict I'm gonna be in, and I'm gonna have to take one of these out and use it against somebody. So yeah, so that's that. And then Sutton shows up, and Sutton has a sprained ankle, and she said that it's been going on for 2 years and she really can't wear high heels, but you know, she's still trying here and there to try to get back into her shoes. And it's unfortunate because I just saw her on Watch What Happens Live, and she's still in a wheelchair with her sprained ankle. So I wonder if it's something more serious. I mean, is it more than that? It's unfortunate. And Lisa's like, oh no, so you're not gonna be able to do any of the activities? And Sutton is like, no, I'd rather not hang out with any of y'all anyway, so I'm just there for Garcelle. And speaking of Garcelle, Garcelle is gonna meet them on the trip because right now she's filming for The Real, her talk show during the day, so she can't meet with them at this specific time. And then we have Erica, and then Erica shows up, and Erica, you know, she has her dog, and I'm like, okay, who brings their pet on a girls trip? You know, I mean, I guess that was her excuse to get out of, you know, riding around with them, but still, who brings that type of responsibility on a girls trip? You know, I guess she couldn't find a babysitter or a dog sitter in time. And then we have Kyle, and Kyle is upstairs practicing her lines and her scenes with Michael Myers. I mean, she was just running around the house like, Michael, don't get me. Michael, no. Like, she was just running all over the house. I'm like, Kyle, relax. Nobody's leaving you. She's running down the stairs like, where's my purse? Where's my purse, Michael? Where is it? Where is it, Michael? Where's everybody else? Is the group here? Oh, there's Lisa. Let me go to her. Hold on, Lisa, I'm coming. I'm coming, Lisa. Hey, okay, so is the group ready? I'm like, calm down, Kyle, calm down. Michael is not chasing you. That's in October. Kathy shows up, followed by Cindy Lou Who, unfortunately. And Kathy's like, wait, I'm missing my purse, the one with the K what's my last name? Hilton. The one with KH on it. It's the gray bag. Where is it? And my phone is missing. I don't think that lady, the other lady, put it in my bag or something. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, my goodness, Kathy, like, you really don't know how to do anything for yourself. I mean, Kyle explained it and said that, when she was younger, that her mom babied her so much, but she was probably so spoiled because she doesn't know how to do anything. I won't be surprised if she hires people to brush her teeth and to feed her food while she's sitting there just doing nothing. I mean, Kathy doesn't know how to do nothing. Then Kyle is asking Kathy, who is the other lady? Then she calls her, and I'm assuming that it's one of her employees back at her house. And the other lady, as they labels her, I'm like, oh, y'all are so shady. They're like, yeah, it's here. We're gonna bring it to you, I guess. And Kyle is like, yes, bring it over here to the 405 right now, quickly. We need to go right now. And then Dorit, she's also there too. Unfortunately, I was hoping that the gates to the house was kind of close her off. I'm like, no, Dorit, don't come into the house. Don't come into the scene. You know what? Don't come onto the trip at all. Just stay out. I was hoping that the gates would stop her from coming on the trip, but unfortunately, we didn't get that. Then Erica is the first one to show up to this resort/hotel where they're all staying at for the girls' trip, and she goes up to the counter with her dog, and she's just like, yeah, it's just me and my dog right now. And in her confessional, she's like, nobody understands that what it feels like to wake up every morning feeling like there's a baseball bat hitting me in behind my head. And then Sutton shows up, but she's quick to go into her room and start bandaging up her ankle because her foot is starting to swell up again, unfortunately. So she's just laying in her bed. And then Kyle and Kathy show up, and they get the presidential room, the fancy room, the nice expensive room. It's so spacious. I'm like, damn, if we could just pack everybody else in this room too. Nobody needs to be separated. We could all have it, everybody in here. We could have the reunion in here. It was that spacious. And they're like, oh, it's so fancy. Kyle is running around again, thinking she's being chased by Michael Myers. Like, let me go see the closet. Let me go see the closet. I want to see the closet. Is he coming behind me? I'm going into the closet. I'm like, Kyle, again, stop running around everywhere. Cindy Lou Who and Erica also show up to Kathy's room, and ironically, Erica is wearing a prison outfit already. I mean, it was an orange jumpsuit or orange coat with numbers on it. I'm like, are we foreshadowing something, Erica? What are you trying to do? I mean, are you trying to make it into fashion? What's going on here? But Kathy's like, I kind of planned this little thing between all of us, and we're going to meet Crystal and Lisa downstairs, and we're going to have a pop-up picnic. And I'm like, what the hell is a pop-up picnic? You either do it or you don't. There is no popping of this picnic. All the women finally reunite downstairs in the lobby, and they go outside by the beach or by the sand area where the picnic is all set up. And they're like, oh, let's sit down and let's start eating. And they see a bunch of sea lions. I don't know if I will personally feel comfortable eating that close to sea animals like that. I mean, what if they come over here and try to slap me with their fins or something? Crystal points out that sea lion over there posing on the rock is posing the same way that Dorit does on Instagram. And I'm like, yeah, they could be posing the same way, but I'm pretty sure that sea lion could probably keep its mouth closed before Dorit ever could. That sea lion probably has much more of a storyline than Dorit ever could on this season of Housewives. I mean, at this point, give that sea lion Dorit's diamond for next season, because I would rather see a sea animal than see Dorit come back for another season of nothing. And as all the women are getting settled in their seat on the sand, they're all starting to talk, and they're bringing up Sutton versus Erica again, because Kyle is always foaming at the mouth, just ready to speak on the situation. And then Erica's like, let me clear this up right now, because I don't like being called a liar. I do not like being called a liar, and I don't really give a fuck if she thinks any otherwise. I am not a liar. I think that is so disrespectful. And then Kyle is like, yeah, I mean, she's just calling you a liar because of that situation, that example that she made out of. And then Dorit's like, wait, what example again? And then Kyle is like, oh, let me fill you in because I'm the producer. The one about the car accident. And then here comes Dorit, and she's explaining kind of like the car accident situation to Erica, and Erica's like, yes, allegedly. When I tell y'all I had to pause the episode, I'm like, what? What do you mean allegedly? Like, it either happened or it didn't. And then Kyle was so confused too. In her confessional, she was like, So wait, this is a story that came out of your mouth because you said you witnessed it, but now you're saying allegedly. And I'm also wondering, Kyle, why are you telling us this in the confessional? Why are you not opening your mouth right then and there in front of Erica? That is the problem with you. You just continue being somebody who just talks in the confessional instead of saying it to Erica's mouth. That's why you look like such a coward and you look like you're scared of her 24/7 because you have all this bark in the confessional. But then when Erica says some BS that doesn't make sense or doesn't add up in person, you're just like, the sea lions. Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis is calling me. You know, that's what you do. You always just like don't pay attention to what's in front of you right then and there. And Erica continues going on with the story. She's like, yeah, no, allegedly, yeah. He, you know, the thing is, Dory, yeah, I didn't necessarily ask him or ask the doctors to, you know, operate on him. It's just I didn't want him going underneath the anesthesia. You know, she said it, real anesthesia. I didn't want him going through that. And I just feel like at his age, he really shouldn't be doing all of this. And he should really be making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I just feel like his favorite game is bingo. So he was kind of playing a game of bingo. So that's what I'd rather have him doing at the hospital. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, that's just what it is, Dory. And then Dory was like, wait, in her confessional, again, everything is always in the confessionals when it comes to anybody who wants to hold accountable Erica, you know, in her group. And Dory's like, I just feel like, you know, she's twirling her ponytails in her confessional. I just feel like she is telling the truth, but I just feel like it's just not adding up. But I believe her, but I just feel like some things are just not adding up. And I'm like, but that's the problem right there. Nobody is questioning Erica. You like, all both of them just continue letting Erica just slide with everything. But when it comes to Garcelle or Sutton, no, we need to keep it honest. We need to keep it real. We need to keep it 100%. You know, everything. But when it comes to Erica, it's just like, oh, this is not adding up and this is not being honest or owning it or anything. But you know what? We're gonna let it slide. So y'all pick and choose. Here comes a new plot that Erica has came up with concerning Tom and her never-ending stories. I mean, at this point, I'm reading a Harry Potter series. I mean, this is like the 5th book that she's written this season? I'm like, okay, continue, Erica. Continue reading us your scripts. And she goes on and says that Tom is underneath some type of conservatorship. I cannot pronounce that correctly. And she's like, yeah, he's incompetent of doing anything. And, you know, I'm not involved in anything. They kind of iced me out of anything. And I'm just not going to be called a liar. And you know what? If Sutton feels threatened, then she should be threatened because I threatened her and she should be threatened. And that's on everything. And I'm like, wow. So Dorit, you know, I had to get my ear ready. I was like, Dorit, where's that big bully word that you used earlier with Garcelle? Where is it? You're not gonna call this bully behavior? Like, she's not being a bully? She just threatened somebody and she said she should be threatened. That's not bully behavior? Why are we staying quiet? What's going on? You know, I'm just like, Dorit, again, there you go again, letting Erica's behavior slide, but let Garcelle breathe the wrong way or just wave the wrong way and all of a sudden she's a bully. You know, at this point, I feel like I need to sue Erica for emotional damage that she's doing to me. I feel like I'm in a toxic relationship with her. Like 1 minute, I'm like, maybe you're telling the truth. And then the next second, I'm like, no, you're a liar. Get away from me. Get away from me, Erica. And then the next second, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I do kind of believe you. I do feel sorry for you. And then the next second is the opposite. Erica, you're playing with my emotions. And I am not going to continue falling for it. And then Garcelle finally shows up to the resort/hotel and she makes it very clear, if I see 2 creepy little white girls walking around the hallway, I am running for the hills. I mean, I do not blame her because that whole hotel gives off a very spooky, you know, kind of horror type of vibe. So if I was her, I don't know, I would lock the doors, put a chair, put another chair, and then put a refrigerator in front of the door. But then again, ghosts could walk through walls or something, so that wouldn't help. But I don't know, the whole hotel gave out very, very creepy vibes. And then she gets a knock at the door and it's Sutton, and Sutton is in a wheelchair, unfortunately, because she had to go get an emergency x-ray earlier in the episode. That's why she wasn't there at the picnic, so she could possibly shut Erica up from talking smack behind her back. And Sutton is like, yeah, I don't understand the whole situation with Erica. I was thinking of maybe going to, knock on her door or whatever, but I just don't think it's gonna happen. And if I was you, Sutton, I definitely wouldn't do that because you're in a wheelchair. Erica's already upset with you. Who knows, what she's capable of. And you know what's so crazy to me is that at the beginning of the season, I kept wondering, okay, what is gonna come between Sutton and Erica? Because they were so cool. Remember at the beginning of the season when they were in the sauna, they were talking and laughing and, really getting along. And it's kind of unfortunate how their friendship just kind of like fell apart. But I mean, Sutton wasn't doing nothing but being honest, and Erica, you just got very defensive. So as all the women are getting ready, one by one, they all start coming down to this balcony where they're having a dinner, another dinner. I'm like, can't we find another activity to do? Like, let's go get some crayons and go color into a coloring book. Like, let's go do a paint and sip. Let's go tell scary stories. Let's go do our hair. Let's do something else. It's always dinner, 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 dinner. I'm sure that we could have drama playing tic-tac-toe or playing a game of Candyland, something, but regardless, they all show up one by one. Crystal, I believe, was the first one. Then Lisa got there, and then Sutton showed up, and Garcelle was there too, and Sutton is in her wheelchair. And then Erica showed up looking like a sexy chicken. And if I was Garcelle, the minute that Lisa would have approached me for a hug or a hello, I would have been like, hey, Lisa, oops, oh, I'm so sorry. I threw you over this balcony by mistake. I am so sorry. I must have slipped on my stilettos. I am so sorry. Did you land correctly at least? Oh, I'm sorry. Keep it honest, okay? Keep it honest. And then back in Kathy's room, her and Kyle are running late. And by running, I mean Kyle is literally running again. She is just trying to prove to us that she can do a chase scene with Michael Myers. I'm like, we get it, Kyle, we get it. This is like, what, your third chase scene in one episode already? She's just like, we need to hurry up. We need to hurry up, Kathy, hurry. Michael is coming. I need to get my face mask. Hurry up, Kathy. And Kathy's like, yeah. Oh, I got a roller in my head. Yes, we can go now. Oh, wait, no, there's another roller. Oh, we're running like 2 hours behind. It's so late. Oh, it's fine. And then Kyle is freaking out because she's like, oh my God. Besides Michael is also chasing us, but Lisa is Lisa is calling me. She is calling me on my phone. I'm so scared. And then Kathy pointed out, Kathy was like, who is she, your boss? And I'm like, wow. I must agree with Kathy. I mean, I don't like her playing dumb 24/7, but I did like that she said that. I'm like, so, well, is she, Kyle? Is she your boss? Because that's what it looks like. I mean, Kyle, whoo, you would think that Kyle would be like a leader or something, but no, she's such a little scaredy cat. As they're all finally sitting down at the dinner table for the 100th time this season, they're passing around some bread, and Kathy was me because she picked up the bread and she smelled it. She was like, okay, it smells good. Do you want some? Because I also like to do that. I'm like, wait, if the food doesn't smell good, I don't know if I could eat it. And then we get over to Kyle and Lisa, and Kyle is sitting right next to Lisa, and she passes over some bread, and she's like, would you like some bread? Mimicking what Kim said to Lisa years ago in their fight, and Lisa was like, uh-oh, triggered. Bring Kim back. I feel like Kim will be the only one to put Lisa in her fucking spot where she needs to be. She will be the only one to put her in her place where she deserves. As all the women are eating, Kathy, surprisingly, is the one to bring up the next conversation. She's like, I just feel like there's some tension at this dinner table. There's a little vibe that's off, and Andy just texted me right now, and he wants us to speak on this because we need to film a certain scene, and we need previews for next week, so we need to spice it up a little bit. So let's get going. So Sutton, you tell me first. And Sutton is like, well, Erica, and she points at Erica, who's sitting across from her. Surprisingly, they're not sitting next to each other. And she's like, I'm the one that called that meeting without you. I'm the one that had that whole private meeting. And Erica's just like, she is just so cold in the face. And Sutton is trying to explain to her, you hurt my feelings. I do feel some type of way about what you said to me. And Erica, the only thing that she had to say was, you call me a liar. You call me a liar. No, you call me a liar. You're a big poo-poo face. No, you're a doo-doo head. I am not a liar. You call me a liar. I don't want to talk about it. No. I said no. No. And honestly, I don't blame Erica because Erica was just sitting there eating her food, minding her business, not starting anything with anybody. And Sutton was the one to, bring up this conversation. Well, technically Kathy, but Sutton was the one to point out again this whole issue with Erica. It's like, okay, we already squashed this already. You and Erica are not going to be friends again. She doesn't want anything to do with you. She's not going to apologize. Let it go. But Sutton is not letting it go. Kathy's not letting it go. Nobody is letting it go. So I guess we have to continue with this. Sutton's reply is, okay, Miss Little Small Town Girl. But Erica was quick to come back at her and she's like, no, you're the small town girl. You're small minded. And Sutton is like, no. You really want me to call the police on you, don't you? I am not. You just hurt my feelings by saying that to me. but it's okay. Just watch your back, Erica. Just watch your back, and you could just tell that Sutton just. Oh, I just wish that Sutton would have been like, oh, I'm small minded. I'm Miss Small Minded. Okay, Miss Lawsuit. Imagine the. Imagine the reaction that she would have gotten out of Erica if she would have been like, yeah, okay, Miss Lawsuit. I wonder what Erica would have said back then. I mean, I know that would have riled her buttons up. And then, of course, here comes Miss Louis Vuitton herself, Dorit, jumping into the conversation, trying to have a moment. Look, guys, I just feel like Erica has been honest today. And I'm like, but that's not what you said in your confessional earlier when y'all were at the beach. You just said that her story wasn't making sense. And now you're saying that she's being honest. Honest where? She's like, listen, Sutton, I'm trying to help you, Sutton. I'm trying to help you as a friend. And Sutton is like, but help me how? You're not helping me. I don't need help. And it's like, again, Dorit, nobody needs your help. Nobody even needs you on the show. Bring the sea lion to replace you. Like, just move Dorit out of the chair, put the sea lion right there to eat her dinner, and call it a day. Like, Dorit is she's just talking just to talk. I'm like, ugh. I feel so bad for all the editors that have to edit this show down to an hour because they probably have to edit like 2 hours of Dorit talking at this dinner table. Just be quiet. Then Garcelle also jumps in defense of Sutton, and she's like, look, Dorit, you and everybody else wasn't over here trying to help Sutton when she really needed help at Kathy's house, when everybody was just kind of throwing her underneath the bus and making her out to look like a liar. So I'm not really understanding. And then Dorit is trying to explain, listen, I'm trying to help her here, and I'm just doing the best that I can. Even though I am not making sense right now, I'm trying to have camera time, Garcelle. Now, do you understand? And I'm like, whoo. The minute that she would have finished that sentence, do you understand? I'm like, who are you talking to, Dorit? If I was Garcelle, I would have lunged. I would have lunged at Dorit. I'm like, who are you talking to, Dorit? Talking about, oh, do you understand? That just sounded so terrible coming out of her mouth, especially towards Garcelle. The amount of drinks that would have been thrown across the dinner table in Dorit's direction if I was Garcelle. I mean, whew, Dorit, she has such a reckless mouth when it comes to everybody who's not her friend, who's being honest in the group, and it's crazy because Garcelle has to be so tame and she can't really go there with any other women on the group because then she's going to be labeled as the angry black woman. And that's so unfortunate because we know that Garcelle could probably back up whatever she has to say, but she can't. And she has to kind of dim herself a little bit because if she comes off too much, then they're all going to be like, oh my God, Garcelle is coming off aggressive. Why is she acting like this? Oh, she just tried to attack us. That would be the first thing that they would say to Garcelle if she would properly come back at them with the same BS that they approach her with. It was already bad enough that Dorit kept hammering away with Garcelle saying, oh, you need to be honest, you need to be honest, you need to be honest. And then here comes Lisa jumping in and she's like, no. I just feel like there's some issues here between you and Dorit that is not, buried and it's still there. And Garcelle's like, well, I thought it was over, but apparently not. And it's just like, I'm not sure what they want out of Garcelle anymore. She has been honest and real and keeping it 100 the entire season. So I'm not sure how else do they want her to represent real. Like, what else do y'all want her to do? Do y'all want her to tattoo the word, oh, I'm honest on her forehead or something? Like, I'm not understanding what else they want. Again, it's just like they're choosing the wrong person to say, oh, you need to be honest. You need to be honest. I wish that they would have the same energy with Erica that they do in the confessionals. I mean, Kyle and Dorit, example right there, earlier in the episode, they're like, oh, yeah, your story's not making sense. What is that? Not being honest, right? At least Garcelle has the nerve, as well as Sutton, to at least question certain things that Erica is doing that's not making sense. But both of you are just, confessional people that just say everything in the confessional, but nothing in person. And Lisa's like, I just feel like you're not really, you're not making sense with this group, and I'm not understanding why you feel so, outside, and you feel like an outsider, and we're making you feel some type of way when it's really just you. You just have to own it. You have to be honest. And I'm like, if I hear that word honest one more time, like at this point, is Honest gonna be the new castmate for the next season? I mean, is Honest gonna be holding a diamond? Because they keep mentioning her every single episode this season. Garcelle is just listening to Lisa, and she's like, "Oh, please give me a break. Like, what are you talking about?" It's crazy hearing Lisa spill all of this out her mouth, and I actually wonder if Lisa is doing this on purpose. I mean, she can't be that oblivious, right? Like, she must be just playing a role for TV. Like, she must know that this is what's gonna rile up the audience and the cast members, because I'm not sure why she holds certain people accountable for nothing, and then the people that she needs to hold accountable, including herself, she just lets it slide, And Garcelle's like, "Look, I'm not trying to make this about race, but me being the only black person in the group, it's easy for me to feel like I'm different from the group, and I can feel like an outsider and like maybe excluded sometime." And they're like, "Yeah, what does that mean?" And I'm like, Garcelle, like, it was so sad that she even had to explain herself to these group of white women, because she's like, "Yeah, it's just I had to feel different all my life, and I had to feel like that everywhere that I go into a room. I always feel like I'm different. Do y'all know what that feels like?" And then here comes Kathy. She's like, "Yes." Now, Kathy, like, no. Garcelle unfortunately starts crying, and then that's when everybody all of a sudden starts having a soft spot. They're like, "That's what we want to see. That's the vulnerability that we want to see. That's keeping it honest." And I'm like, no. Garcelle, a black person, should not have to relive their trauma in front of all of you just to be accepted, and just so, "Oh, let's be friends. Let me show you who I really am by crying." Like, no, that is not how friendships work. You do not meet people and then like, "Oh, can you tell me something really, really, really sad about you? And I want to see you cry to show that our friendship is sincere." That is not how friendships work. And it's sad that Garcelle even had to give them that and has to cry and almost kind of like beg to be their friends. It's just like a sticky situation. And I feel like this is what needs to happen for next season if the show is going to continue, because we need to get rid of Dorit. Like, she needs to go. She needs to go ASAP as soon as possible. They need to bring somebody on Garcelle's side, like maybe a close friend, and put her in Dorit's position, and maybe add a friend of the show also that Garcelle knows, because if this continues being unbalanced, it's always going to be like 5 versus 1. It's going to be always attacking one person each season, and we just cannot continue that. We need to, maybe balance out Garcelle, a new housewife that's also Garcelle's friend, a friend of the show who's also on Garcelle's side, and Sutton versus everybody else, because it just cannot continue always just being the hypocrites versus Sutton and Garcelle. And then they all get up and start hugging her and like, "Oh, thank you so much. That's what we really wanted to see from you." If I was Garcelle, I would have been like, "Oh, okay, they're coming over here to hug me. Get over here, come over here," and put Dorit in a chokehold. Like, no, don't hug me. All of that was just for the cameras. They're like, we made the only black person on the show cry. Fuck, we can't look like evil white women on TV. Let's get up and hug quickly. Like, that's all it was. It was all an act. It was all for show. If you really cared about Garcelle, you did not have to, make her reach that point of crying, of reliving that, something that she relives every single day as soon as she goes into any room. Like, it's just, these women just, they'll never learn. So then the next morning, Kathy invites all the women to do something called the sound system, or something with sound, where they have to lay on the floor with towels on their eyes and just kind of relax to the music in the background that's being played. And she apparently got this idea from Kim Kardashian, and she wanted to try it out on her own. But to me, if I was to do something like this, I don't know, that noise that the woman was, ringing with the little thing in her hand, it sounds way too familiar to the iPhone alarms sound that it does when it wakes you up every morning. So I would have been triggered. I would have been like, "Turn that off, like, shh, make it a little bit quieter, something else." And then Kathy eventually ends up falling asleep, but surprisingly with no fan. So after it was all over, Garcelle's point that she keeps making out to these women goes into play, because of course Lisa, Dorit, and Kyle, they all separate again from the group just to chit chat between all three of themselves instead of the whole group, or Garcelle and Sutton, who is walking away in the background with the wheelchair. So I'm like, you see what I'm saying? Like, y'all never want to participate anybody else into the conversation, but I guess it's because it's Erica. They don't want to involve, Sutton, and Sutton is with Garcelle. So I guess. And Lisa's like, did y'all see on page 6 that Tom is gonna be, underneath this conservatorship. I cannot pronounce that right. Underneath his brothers, and I'm just like, what? Like, what is going on here? Like, this sounds like a whole soap opera. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of put this plot into the Days of Our Lives with Lisa, starting Lisa next season, because that's what it sounds like. It sounds insane. After Lisa shares the news to Kyle and Dorit, all three of them go to visit Erica, who's waiting for them, and Erica's a little sad. You could tell she's not really there, and she's like, I found out what happened to Tom last night before the dinner, and I was just devastated. He's gonna be put into a home. I know I said that I really didn't like him earlier this season, but now I'm gonna kind of change up my story. This is gonna be the plot twist in my new book series coming out next year. So now I do love him. Now I actually care. I know I said earlier in the season that I didn't really care, that he treated me badly, but now I kind of want to play a different sympathy role. So hopefully they're looking at me on camera and they're buying into this. And I'm like, okay, Erica, pick a side now. I'm sick and tired of hearing about Tom. This, Tom, that, Tom, this, Tom, that. Like, he's gonna be put into a home. And what's so funny is, two things are funny here, is that Erica she just continues saying how she feels so bad for Tom. She feels so bad for him. But what about the victims? Like, she says nothing about them at all. Like, do you feel bad about them? If allegedly this is true and it has nothing to do with you, like, you don't say nothing about that. It's always me, me, me. Feel sorry for me, me, me. Oh, I'm going through this, this, this. Or Tom is this, this, that. And his car is rolling around the block. Like, what is it? And on top of that, the second thing that's funny is that Lisa and Kyle are so understanding of Erica's feelings, of Erica's story, without Erica having to cry and boo-hoo. Like, Lisa's just like, I understand. No, I get it. I understand. I understand. I get it. I completely understand. And I'm like, so where was this energy with Garcelle? Where was that? Because you're so quick to understand Erica, and you don't even know if what's coming out of her mouth is true or not, but you're so quick to say, I understand, I understand, I understand. But Garcelle has to beg and cry and almost have a breakdown in front of you at a dinner for you to understand her, right? It's not making sense, Lisa or Kyle. And Erica's excuse is that she still feels some type of connection to Tom. And even though she divorced him, she's still been with him all this time. And that's why she still cares, even though she's been painting him out to be such a horrible human being this whole entire season. And now all of a sudden now, oh wait, no, I feel bad for him and I take back everything I said because he's about to be put into a home. So again, Erica, make up your mind. Which way are you feeling? Are you feeling sympathy or are you not feeling sympathy for Tom? And then she tells Kyle and Lisa, the only way to find out who your real friends are is if you scam a bunch of orphans and widows and you get old. That's the only way you're gonna find out who your real friends are. And that was the episode, y'all. What did y'all think about this new chapter in the book of Erica Jane and her life with Tom? What did y'all think about it? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Bye, y'all. Mwah.